And while he was visiting, the revenuers opened fire, shot this guy in the back. They just left him there. But that guy just happened to be my What's up, everybody? My name is Todd, and today we're doing something a little bit different. We are hiking in the hills of North Alabama. This would also be considered the foothills of the Appalachians. Just beautiful country. I've heard it referenced by people that weren't actually from here as, you know, this is God's country. And I wonder if this is just as far north as they've made it, because to me, you get on up into eastern Tennessee, to me that's God's country, up around Smoky Mountain National Park. But North Alabama has some beautiful, beautiful countryside. It's just getting access to it, you know, you just gotta get out there and find it. But today, like I said, just something a little bit different. I used to say that way back in the day that there was a moonshine still in every holler in North Alabama. And if you don't know what a holler is, that's where if you live on one hill and your neighbor lives on the hill across from you, you gotta holler across to hear them. But basically, anywhere that might have had a natural spring or running water, I imagine not too dissimilar from where I'm at now, could have possibly been a moonshine still in operation. Great place to break an ankle right now. Hopefully our path clears up a little bit down here. So this is actually an old logging road coming down in here, and my goodness, it is rutted out. It's not been used in about the last 10 years that I know of. But got a lot of limestone. A lot of limestone in this area here in the hills, and like I said, you just really got to watch your step, because right now there are rocks everywhere. Y'all take a look at this and tell me if this isn't beautiful. Straight up the hillside, yellow poplar trees, high as you can see nearly. Beautiful. Ferns. Ferns are everywhere along this old roadbed. As a kid growing up, I used to love sitting on the front porch with my granddaddy. My grandparents would keep us during the day, and he loved to get out and sit on the porch when all the chores were finished, gardening, working around the house. And my grandmother would bring him a glass of lemonade or some sweet tea, and he'd sit out there. And as a little boy, I'd love to hear, you know, the tales he would tell. He served in the military, and he served in World War II as a chaplain's assistant, and served in the Philippines and some other areas. But just kind of one of those, I guess you'd say, pillars of the community. But we used to sit on the front porch overlooking farmland at the time, and huge hills off in the background. And very often when we were sitting out there, we'd see helicopters flying over those hills. And I would always ask my granddaddy what they were doing over there. And he'd always tell me, oh, they're probably looking for Mary Jane. I said, oh, is some girl lost over there? No, Mary Jane's marijuana. And I have no idea if marijuana's ever even been grown anywhere near where I'm standing now, which is in those very hills that I used to look at. Not too far from here, it's rumored that it's sitting in an old fallen down barn, or there is the remains of the old buckboard wagon or covered wagon that my great whoever's actually came to this area on. Again, something I've never seen, but it's neat history. Get out and learn the heritage of where you're at, because you know, you never know what cool things could pop up that you can make a video on one day, and maybe, you know, people of YouTube would enjoy hearing about it and watching it. The preachers may preach, and the owls may screech, and the revenuers may ever be so sly. There'll be stills in Freedom Hills when the rest of the world runs dry. Courtesy of UR Jarnigan. And I'm gonna give a special shout out to some of my family members that helped me locate that full poem. A poem that my dad used to tell me often as a kid growing up, and I never did know exactly where he saw it at or read it. You don't realize what is dying with the people. Skills, crafts, stories, folklore, legends. I would encourage you, start writing things down, because one day you're going to wake up and think of something that you heard years ago, and the person who told it to you is not going to be there anymore to retell it. So make your so don't just memorize, learn, so you'll never forget. So basically, this whole game of cat and mouse that was played by the bootleggers and the revenuers, it honestly, you know, I don't think it had anything to do with the alcohol. It was tax evasion. So these old country boys were way back here in the hills, all over the South, you know, not just North Alabama, my goodness, Tennessee, Kentucky, but all over the South. These old country boys who probably during the Depression era didn't have any work, and they're just trying to provide for their family. So they actually bootleg liquor, which means they did it illegally because they weren't paying taxes on it. My goodness, you know, Moonshine just started this whole cult culture of, you know, of followers, to where now it's a series on TV of modern day moonshiners. But it was a culture at the time, you know, people running liquor, bootlegging, trying to make a dollar, and you know, just doing what they knew to do and what they could do. So those sketchy walking right here because that is straight down and back up. Oh my gosh, I think we just found it. So this is the remains of an old moonshine still. And this has been here no telling how many years. But you can see right here. Any guesses? Those are the axe marks where either the revenuers or local law enforcement found this steel and busted it up. Check this out from the inside. You can get a better view of the axe marks if we work our way around. Got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And here's, can't hardly see it, 6, 7, 8. Wouldn't it be neat to know the story? You know, of the guys that might have been running this thing or had it in operation. There's not much left. I thought that I'd been here before as a kid. I'm pretty certain I've seen it. And I thought there was more to it. But, you know, stuff has a way of walking off. All rusted out now. There's some part of it still back in the hillside. I've got a metal detecting friend, and Gary, if you're watching this might be a cool place to come check out, or you may have already checked it out, I don't know. But yeah, so running water here would have been coming down the rocks. I don't know, maybe in the past, you know, this was more abundant, or maybe this was just a certain time of year that they used this one, possibly the spring, with a lot of watershed. But it looks like right here there's just this perfect little semicircle carved out, and you can see, I mean, a lot of this is just rocky ground, rocks everywhere. Very possible that they carved this out and had their still sitting here in the side of the hill. Here, an eagle possibly had their you know, they're still in the side of the hill trying to keep it from being detected. So there's a story that's been handed down to a guy that actually got shot in the back while he was visiting a moonshine still when, you know, I don't know who it was. This was, you know, this has been told down through the years. Either the revenuers or the local law enforcement showed up at the still to make a bust. And supposedly he was not a bootlegger, but he was visiting friends. And I mean, that was common in this area at the time. You know, there wasn't these huge towns you could go to. There wasn't a local Hardee's or McDonald's where the old guys could go hang out in the morning. They were hanging out in the hollers that they knew, that they had been traipsing around since they were little boys. And, you know, a lot of times that was sitting around a moonshine still. Kind of a gathering, I guess you'd say. But revenuers, local law enforcement, I don't know who, the feds, somebody showed up, and I'd have no idea what the circumstances were that led to basically shooting. And I don't know if the moonshiner shot back or not, but I know that the man in the story, they all fled and they were running, and he got shot in the back. And I have no idea if, you know, he was let lay there while they continued pursuit of the other people that were at the still, or if they just turned around and walked off. You know, when things get handed down, you don't get the full story. But it is proven that it did happen, because the guy that got shot and left for dead was my great-great-grandfather. So that culture runs run steep in this neck of the woods. And you know, he lived. He had the scar to prove his encounter. And I'm pretty sure I can say confidently, he never visited another moonshine still after that. So pick your friends wisely who you're gonna hang out with, because you never know when somebody's gonna just show up and shoot you in the back and run off and leave. So this is really cool. This is something that I've been wanting to share with you, because it's a part of my, I'm not gonna say it's a part of my culture, but it's the stories that I've heard growing up. And you know, I've never seen an active still in operation. I don't know anybody currently that runs one. But you don't have to go far to find the people that do. I prefer to be left out of all that. So I really hope you enjoyed this. This is another look. This is just the remainder of an old still. I think we counted 8 axe marks in this where the revenuers busted it up. And yeah, I'll definitely bring my kids here one day, so that they too can kind of share in the local history of our area.